This is Dr. B, the Tech Talk Doc. How you guys all doing? Thank you for coming to my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. Please like the videos and please share. Any comments, suggestions, please share them with me. Again, thank you for coming. Please subscribe to the Tech Talk Doc. Hello and welcome. This is the Tech Talk Doc. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial in Microsoft Excel showing you some ways to do things shorter, faster, better. We are using Microsoft Office and Excel here. And what I'm going to show you is the following. You can take any type of data, piece of data. I'm going to show you several different functions. And those functions that we are going to talk about include data validation and how to apply data validation to cells in Microsoft Excel. That's one thing. Also, calculating the time between two dates. So if you have, say, Sunday, January 30th, 2022 and January 4th, 2022, what is the time or between those two dates? How many days between those two dates? And we'll show that in the application in a hospital setting where we're looking at length of stay, so how long a patient's been in a hospital for, and we'll show you that. We're also going to show you about the $sign and how to keep two columns constant, and we'll explain that even further when we show you what we're talking about. First things first, we're looking at this Excel sheet here. I have headings in my second cell here, row, and you have MRN, patient initials, date of admission, date of discharge, length of stay, which is basically the length of stay in days. All right. Then we have just made up numbers here, initials made up here, and dates of admission and dates of discharge and length of stay. Now, if I don't want to continuously be typing in different days and you know, months and years, this is what we have here. We have this drop down menu. How do we create this drop down menu in Excel? And that's what I'm going to show you real quick. All right, we're only going to show you a couple different dates, but we'll show you the overall function. All right, now your length of stay. So how many days between C3 and D3? All right, so how many days have elapsed since January 4th and January 30th? Well, we don't want to have to add them up and all that. So let's create a function that can tell us that, keeping the columns constant. So you have it here. And then we'll just calculate the average length of stay for these patients, and we'll go from there. But here is the dates, all right? We have a list of dates that will be used in our data validation, which we're going to show you now from here. Get ready, here we go. We're going to take a simple version of that. I'm going to type in a couple dates. We'll type in March 25th, 2022, right? And it's going to automatically give us the day, which is Friday, which is today. The reason being is because I have formatted these cells to show that. So if we type in March 26th, 2022, it'll give us that. Now I want to drag this through, copy this formula down so that I have all the way through, we'll say April 11th. So that was easy to do, right? I copy, select these, right? You hit copy or Control C and then drag it down. So it shows you all those. Now I'm going to use this column for data in a dropdown, which will be used under data validation. And we'll show you now how we're going to do this. You can pick from a list of rules to limit the type of data that can be entered in a cell. So we want to use this information under the date of admission and date of discharge. For example, select these cells C3 through C10, and now I want you to go to data validation, validation criteria, allow. We're going to do a list. And it's going to be source, and the source is going to be right here. So I'm going to select this here, and I'm going to go back over here. All right, I'm going to hit OK. Now you're going to see a drop-down menu. I'm going to do the same here. Select this because this will be the date of discharge. I'm going to go to data validation, list, source, and these are going to be my dates of choice. Go back here and hit OK. So now what this does is allows me to select from a drop-down list those dates. Let's go ahead and select date of admission. All these that are in here are also here on the right. So we have to, the date of admission has to be prior to the date of discharge, obviously. So let's go ahead and pitch March 26th, which is in the future. All right, this is just for showing. All right, and so on and so forth. You get the idea, correct? We're picking from a drop-down menu the dates, and this is what data validation. You can do that for any type of data. All right, so we did that. So now we have the date of admission, date of discharge, length of stay. How are we going to calculate the time between the date of admission and the date of discharge? Simple. Remember, we want to keep these data in this column, D constant and C constant. I'm going to do equals, and I want to subtract this later date minus this date here. But keeping it constant, the column, I'm going to put a $ in front of it. Okay. And I'm going to hit enter. 6. So there is 6 days between the date of admission and date of discharge. Now, I don't want to have to go and calculate all these all the way down. It's too tedious. So I want to be able to carry this exact equation, function, down through here, but keeping the column the same, but changing the row. I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to drag this down. And you'll see how quickly that does it. And you can go back and check. It keeps the D column and C column constant, but we're changing the rows, right? You can see row 4, right? Up here, 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So you can see the longest length of stay was between March 28th and April 10th. Now we want to know the average. What's the average length of stay? We can do simply by putting in average. So let's start by putting average in and selecting all these dates and enter. So the average length of stay was 5.625. So very simply done. You see what we achieved. We're able to take 2 dates, find the number of dates between it, drag that formula down and calculate it quickly for the rest of the data, take the average length of stay. We're also able to use the data validation tool in order to create a drop-down menu to select a date instead of having to enter it manually. The other thing we're going to show you that we did here was freezing columns. So a lot of people know how to freeze the columns by going to View, Freeze Panes, right? A lot of people know that you can freeze certain panes, just the columns, just the rows, but do they know that you can freeze a number of columns, a number of rows? So a lot of times you'll see freeze panes, freeze top row, freeze first column. You know, a lot of people will know that you can freeze the first column like that. But what if I want to freeze the first 2, the first 3 columns? So say I want to freeze these here, right? How do I do that? Well, this is how you do it. How do I freeze 2 columns and not just 1? Because that's what the setting is set to. Freeze first column. But I want to freeze the first 2 columns because I want medical record number and patient initials. But they're not frozen. All right? So what you're going to do is you're going to select the column to the right of the columns you want to freeze. Select that column like this. Go to freeze panes, and watch. Now the first two columns are frozen. So if you guys have any questions, we went through quite a few things in short time here. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. We went through data validation tool. We went through freezing more than one column. We also went through the $sign in terms of keeping the data constant for columns, and we did a number of things. So let me know if you got any questions. Thank you for watching. Please share, please subscribe if you haven't yet, and please like.